Alright, hello everybody. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm going to go ahead and cover a stream. I'm going to start with Bitcoin. Look over Bitcoin, look over SPX, the dollar, and then I'll go into like Ethereum, and then potentially like Matic, Solana, and a couple other things I've been keeping an eye on. So let's start off with Bitcoin. First, I'll just go through and show you some of the monthly levels that I've been keeping an eye on. It's always important to start on these higher time frames too, just to get a look and know exactly what you're looking at here. So these are some of the monthly levels that I've been keeping my eyes on. We also have these down here, and then we have this last one right here. So these are some important monthly levels in my eyes. I want to see for any bullish momentum to get that close above that 17.2 area. You can actually see how significant it is. You have this touch point over here, and then you have the bottom of this monthly candle over there. So to remain bullish structure, I want to see a close above that. The previous month of November, we've had a bearish engulfing candle here, and it was very, very engulfing. So usually that means once you do get that engulfing candle, the next candle here is going to be bearish as well. I am standing a little bit more bearish at this moment, but the farther we dip, I mean, I can't be a bear forever. Sooner or later, we're going to catch some bids down here. Buyers are going to start to step in. But eventually, I do think this 10.8K monthly level takes out. It's also the 886 if you draw your harmonic here for a shark. So you have a 618, 1.13 basically, and then your 886 is pretty much right at this monthly level. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on. That's where I hopefully hope it hits, and then place some bids down there, and it'll be a very good trade, at least up to your 50 on the fib. So if it goes right there, I'd be taking a trade with stop losses below the X point down there, which is around 4K, which is like your COVID wick, and then looking for these fib levels up 33K, and then all the way up to even the 40K areas. So those will be some targets I'll be taking, and it'll be a nice 4-to-1 trade for a 50% retracement. I think we at least get the 33K, which would be a nice 3-to-1 trade. So that's what I'm looking at on the larger time frames. When we really break it down, you can actually see how if we leave those levels on here, that how we're just been respecting it on the weekly. We haven't had a candle close above it in like an entire month since the beginning of November. Well, other than the beginning of November, that was right when Sam went under. But other than that, we've been closing under that, which shows me that we're bearish if we can't reclaim that and have a weekly candle close above that to at least come and test this next level up here, which is a previous all-time high. So I'm keeping my eye on that. We are looking like we're kind of in no man's land at the moment. It's just been chop, 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 chop. I've been kind of sidelined since I got a couple shorts in over here about a week ago, and I've just been hanging out in my Ethereum Matic shorts for now. But I want to see a reclaim, man. I want to see a bullish reclaim of this area before I start to get really bullish, because we have a higher low end right here. We can reclaim this. I think we can put in a higher high potentially, maybe come up to this 19.6 previous all-time high, 19.7 area. On the daily, our divergences, we do have a bullish convergence forming here. So it does look like momentum starting to come back up here, which would be good. If this starts to turn green, or the blue turquoise color I have here, we could start seeing some movement up. And then also, if we take the trend line down here, I mean, as of right now, that's not looking too good. What I would probably want to see is like a retest up here, get above at least this 50. But on the daily, the bears are still in control of this right now. So until this line is crossed, I am still short. And even if we come up, we might get a little deviation. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that. I want to see some candles close up here. But if we just get a little bounce into this area here, where is my brush? We get a bounce in here. Sorry, I just changed my charts around again. But if we're getting a little bounce up into this area, and we don't close into it, we come back and retest this as resistance down here, you could take another short right here, and you'd be targeting from the bottom of this harmonic that I would have drawn here. So you have pretty much a 618, you get this area here. I would be targeting for a little scalp, at least to the 786 here. So I'd be looking for something like this if we get a reclaim. If we break out of that, and be targeting something like that, just a small like 5%, 6% move on that one. If you come over this line, you come back and you retest it bearish. Eventually, this is what I want to see. I would try to punt along potentially down here or at the 886 to see what happened, to see if it held. If it does hold, we do get this low here. I'll punt along. I'll keep my stop loss below this area right here on the X and see what happens. If this X breaks, we're targeting those much lower targets that I was looking at. And I can show you those as well. Of course, those ones that I have marked off there from the monthly levels. But also you can take your fib from here to here, find your extensions. Right now we're at the 1272, but if you go over here to your extensions, you'll have your 1414, your 1618 down here as well, and then you have those monthly levels. This is the monthly shark target where I think the bottom might occur. Well, that's kind of what I'm looking at for now. You do have, of course, this you can look at in the future if we do come and test this resistance here. You can see what happens at this point as well, because if we do reclaim that, we might start to form some bullish structure here, and potentially break out of that. And then this is another one to keep a look at. So these are just a couple things I've been eyeing. We do have a potential harmonic that could be forming a bearish harmonic this direction as well. It depends where we end up down here. You could come down to the 886, but then you would be looking for your 886 area up here. So you'd be looking for something like this, and you would take a short at this D point. We got to see what kind of price develops here. So if price does get this high, I'll be taking a stab at a short there with my stop loss up here. So those are a couple trade ideas that I'm looking at. I'm kind of just letting things play out. I think we'll potentially get some volatility coming up. Maybe Christmas time, New Year's time, see if this tax harvesting thing everybody always talks about actually plays out, and then we'll go from there. We do still have a potential shark that's in play here, and it can extend pretty far down. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the shark would start up here, come to here, and then it would be able to go down to the 1618, and your 1618 is right about here. So that would be where you'd have a butterfly harmonic, or yeah, I'll show you in a second. So this is a potential one too. This is going to be a lot farther in the future, but if we ever get this 30 level, or if it does come up and go to your 1.13, these are going to be two areas that I'm going to be eyeing for shorts. It's going to be that 34K area and then that 30,000 area. So these are going to be some good levels that I think you can get some shorts on macro long term. So if you want to bookmark those areas here and then here, I would be looking for shorts. These two levels, if you look over here on the right, about 34,300 and then about 30,000 to 700. So I think those would be some good short opportunities in the future. If we do get something like a big pump potentially in the new year, and we hold these levels and we pump up here, this would be a good short to take for more of a macro move. And I'm just kind of looking for some macro moves here while I'm starting to buy more into spot, the lower we go. But in the meantime, I do want to see that level reclaimed that we talked about. So if we can get that level reclaimed on the monthly, let me mark it off again for us. I will be bearish until this level is reclaimed though, right here. So reclaim that level and hold it. I'll start to turn a little bit more bull. But in the meantime, and I'll be taking it level to level, right? And in the meantime, I'm going to stay on the sidelines. I'm going to stay in the shorts that I'm currently in and then wait and see what happens. All right, let's go to SPX. And hold on, let me actually post the YouTube for people that can, if they want, they can watch it live and ask some questions. So give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna make a little Twitter post too, so bear with me. I probably should have done this at the beginning of the stream, but it's fine, guys. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. To SB. All right, so now we're on SPX. So let me just kind of get rid of what I was looking at earlier and just start from scratch for you guys. And this also helps with me just to rechart it to make sure I'm looking at the same thing that I was prior. All right. So right now, just looking at it overall, looks pretty gnarly. We've had this just uphill, massive area just going on forever. I mean, this thing has been uphill since like the 2009, 2008 crash. And then even back in 2020, I mean, we pumped crazy after this COVID wick down, man, just from all the money just printed. 100% move on SPX in 2 years, so it's due for a retrace, and you already got your 50% retrace right here. So if you would have measured this for the halfway, you would have had your 60%, which is half of 120%, which was the move that you've had all the way up to the top. So Gahn's law, every move, or ruled every move at least a 50% retrace like that. So you already have that. So that's why we bounced from the 50% retrace area. You can also see that it was a significant monthly level that you have here as well. And I had a couple other things that I was looking at as well that I can go ahead and show you on the harmonic structure, which is why I had this previous level here marked. So let's go to the weekly. And I saw this harmonic that popped up a while ago here. Started here, come down, you have your 886, right around your 886 area here, and then your 1618 for a deep crab. So if you pin that, the 1618, you get it right at your weekly and your monthly closes. So if we go to your monthly here, you'll see how the 1618 pinned perfectly, like right at your monthly close. And you held that level, and then you pumped. So this was in play. I think this can still be in play up to your like 786, 886 areas. So if you go from high to low here, you'd be looking for like your 786 and 886 targets, which are going to be up here. And let me actually go to the zone one. So this would, if we get a proper pump off of this thing, I think it could potentially come all the way up here. And there's a very important trend line that you do have to get past that has been respected, and it's right here. So the next potential harmonics that I do see on this, of course there's a couple bearish ones, but there's also a couple bigger bullish, or so these are bearish harmonics, but they're not completed until they go higher. So this one, you'd have your 618, you're above your 1.13, which could be a cipher pattern, or it could be a shark. So your targets would be up here at your 786. And let me take this over here. Give me 1 second. So yeah, your 786 here. This is what I would be looking for if we have this cipher play out. We'd be looking for a tag up here about 45.5, 4550. If this would hit, you have pretty much a 1272 here as well. So this is a good area. On top of that, you're also forming like a butterfly-like structure right here. So the butterfly is supposed to be at your 786. This is very close. I mean, it's a 731. And this can go anywhere between your 382 down to your 886. So I think I have that level pretty much marked. And then your 1272 would be a target on this. So both of these harmonics line up, which means this is going to be a very significant area if we hit it to be looking for shorts or puts on SPX. So this is why I think if we can break above this level here on the horizontal diagonal trend line here, we'd be looking for a push up to here for a macro move. On the daily, we're starting to form a little bit. It looks like we can come down a little bit more still, like I said, into this C wave. If you're looking on the weekly, this is starting to roll over. You have pretty much like a double top area here on your MACD, and it's starting to roll over. And last time you saw it roll over, I mean, look at this. So say you're on this candlestick here, you'd be right here. Same thing pretty much happened, and you'd be looking for some more blood here. So we're going to see what happens if it does roll over on the weekly and you start to form some bullish convergence here, and you have your high a little bit lower and then a little bit lower here like that, and this just on your histogram it dips down a little bit like this, and you get some more bullish convergence. You form like almost an inverse head and shoulders over here. So you'd be looking for price to be doing something like this while this happens. Oh. To form like an inverse head and shoulders to hold this area, and then to pump from there into the new year. So that's essentially what I would be looking for if we see some type of a continuation there. But on the weekly, I mean, we're still below that 50-yard line. We need to reclaim above that if we want to catch any bullish momentum, man. I mean, look what happens when you get above that 50. So we got above that 50 right around here, right? Back May 2020. And then look at just this uphill being above this 50-yard line right here. And that's how I kind of like to explain the RSI too. You have your 30 here, 40, 50, 60, 70. It's like a football field. If you're above that 50, bulls are in control. You're below that 50 on the weekly, bears are still in control. So you want to see a push with this RSI above that 50-yard line there, and basically get above this double top area that we have that has been like a significant point on the RSI. So if we can get above that, you can get a significant move. And look what happens when you're above it. Like I said, just up, up, up. And when you're below it, I mean, you see some of the biggest moves down that you've seen in the SPX. Like big move down, big move down. So I'm still leaning bearish. I think we can get a push up to here. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But if we do, that would be a macro target if we do get a good pump to look for shorts. Some other scenarios that I had, we did have a lower time frame harmonic here that is playing out. So let's get rid of these. We have the levels marked up there. One second. All right. So we did have a harmonic here. It's pretty much like 886 area, which is what I had marked right around here. So we came up, but we never came above the X, and we started to move from there. So it was just like a small harmonic that we had on there. Essentially what you want to see is to keep this low here. If you want to see bullish movements, you want to have this low hold. and then come up and be able to form a higher high after that. So I'm keeping my eyes on this area right here to see what happens, and hopefully that holds, because if that does hold, then you have some bullish momentum. If we lose that, I would start looking for lowers areas. And then on the low time frames, I mean, even on the 4 hour, we're starting to form a little bit of potential bullish, but I mean, right now this thing is, it just doesn't look good. It's just rolling over. Everything's just rolling over. So I'm trying to find some cases to be bullish here, but in the meantime, I'm just going to remain short on this thing. All right, so the dollar, this is the main thing that's kind of giving me my bearish case, at least for short term, not too much longer, because I mean, the dollar essentially, I think, has topped out already. And I changed my chart, so let's get this changed to the proper colors here. Let's get rid of this fib, get rid of this and this, just so I can show you what I'm looking at. So this is a monthly chart, by the way, guys. So this dates all the way back from 2001, and you have your lows down here in 2008. So this is a bat pattern. Bats are at 382 or 0.5 or in between. Typically, if it's a 382 or 0.5, it's a stronger pattern. You have your 886 that it can extend to, perfect 886. And then you have your 886 up here, which is going to be your resistance point, which it basically tapped almost on a head here and has just nuked since. So I personally think the dollar is topped for now, or at least you see a bigger retrace. And this is also just a massive potential bear flag as well, that we just kind of had over here. This thing just pops up, and then once it breaks down, you see some mega nukes. So eventually, I think if this breaks down below here, we could have the crazy bull run, to be honest, for risk assets at least. But the midpoint, you can see how this midpoint's respected, right? Like we came up here once, and then we came down, we retest this midpoint. This midpoint is very, very important area, and we're testing the midpoint right now. So, and the midpoint is also, when you go down into the lower time frames, and you take this high to low area, I'll do it again so you can see, it's the 0.786 fib and 0.886. So when you go from low to high here, sorry, I'm just going to turn off the magnet for this. Low to high here, you can see that is your area. That is your 786, 886 reversal area for a lot of harmonics. So when you map that out, you get another 382. And then you look for your 886, which is down here. So eventually we might come down. We might touch this D point here. We might get a little pump up to that previous all-time high on Bitcoin I was talking about, around like 19.7. And then nuke from there. If this finds support and the dollar finds support here and reclaims this midline, you could see the dollar rally a little bit. And these are on the daily, so you can actually see, like, this is about 2 weeks of time right here. You've just been hovering around, chopping around, which is the same thing we've been doing on Bitcoin. So I think if this completes right down here at the D point, you can get some momentum upwards on the dollar, and you get a final nuke on cryptocurrency like I was talking about. In the meantime, we've just been chopping around. So this is why I'm more hesitant, though, because we are forming a macro bullish harmonic on DXY. So if this completes and the dollar looks bullish, what's going to happen to crypto? It's going to be going down. So targets for this, you would take high to low, turn on your fib here, and these would be the levels I would be targeting. About 105, 106 area, 107.4, and then 108, 109-ish. And then you even have your 618, your 110 area there. So those would be areas I'd be looking for the dollar to target, see the reactions when it hits it, see what happens. So that's the dollar. I also looked at this the other day. So if you mark your high area here on the point, and then you'd come down to your RSI here on the daily, you have that point marked. I mean, you can just see how we've kind of pretty much broken out. I mean, even if you go to the high point, which was like right here, this is what you'd be looking for. I'd be personally looking for this breakout, which we already did. Maybe come up, test, come back down. I'm looking for this retest here before I see that big final nuke. Once you get that retest here and this starts to come back up, which might be where the harmonic completes, then that's when you get your big nuke on cryptocurrency. So I'm waiting for this to come back down here, retest, and that's your signal for a final nuke, and then you enter your shorts, you're good to go. So basically what I would want to see on RSI, I'll just kind of show you together. RSI, come down here, retest, go. This, come down here, retest, and go. All right. All right, so we're on total 3, everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum, total market cap. I'm still looking for a touchdown here at the 786 to complete this cipher. If it does want to go into a bat, we can go down to this 886 here, but I think this 786 is going to be a pretty substantial area too, but definitely be on the lookout for that 886, which is if you wanted to cut every altcoin in about half from here. But minimum, before we get a nice bounce, I would love to see us come down to right here, and eventually I think this is going to happen. So about a 20% haircut on the altcoin market, and you have the macro harmonic there that lines up, and then you also have this deep crab that is pretty much a perfect deep crab that can extend down to the 1618 here, which is about 240 billion for your total 3 market cap, which lines up pretty much at that 786 as well. So this is going to be a strong bounce area. I'm definitely going to be going long on some assets if we hit this area, especially altcoins. In the meantime, we lost this level, man. It doesn't look good. It's not a good area to mark or to lose. And then let me go to the monthly here, actually. So, I mean, even on the monthly, we're just kind of in no man's land. It's just not a good place to trade, really. Like, it's just not a good spot. I mean, history tells us when we lose this, you're going to see this level at least 264 here. You're going to see at least that level and potentially even down to here. So I still think we're not in a good area on altcoins, and we do have some room to fall. Does not mean we won't get a pump back up to this area, at least up to this potential B point, and reject that up to here, and then come back down and then nuke it. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this. We're forming some divergence here. So we are forming divergence, but we got to see what happens. Let's cover Ethereum real quick. Let's say 1222. Oh wow, Ethereum might be trying to do the damn thing. All right, let's zoom out just to show you my overview first. All right. So I have this Gartley on Ethereum that still is legit because it hasn't broken down past this X, but it has tested up here already. So it has played out majority of the move. But when you look here on the daily, I took from high to low here. You have your 786 level here and then your 886 level here. Let's see if I take this all the way down and what it shows. All right. So, I mean, this is just a pretty significant level right here that I want to see crossed. If you can get above that 1230 level and reclaim that, I'll go long on Ethereum. But until then, I'm still sitting on the sidelines a little bit. I'm short from like 1303 area, and I've taken most of my profits off this already, down at the lows over there. So I got in right around here. I actually got in right around here and held it all the way up here, and then it came back down. And I shaved off about 75-85% down here for a good 10% move. And I have the rest up here. So I'm going to see what happens if we get rejected. I do want to see this D point. If we can fill this D point, or even between like 1100 to 1120, I would probably go long on that, or at least hedge my shorts and probably be delta long on that. Long-term levels for Ethereum, I'm still looking for these levels down here. I'm still looking for a lot lower on Ethereum eventually. Some levels, key levels that I'm looking at. Is around 380 is one of the levels. If we get down that far, I am aping my entire bag into this. And then also that 700, like 36 area. And then I would also be looking and eyeing about 856. These areas is what I would be eyeing to place some bids at. Ideally, down to 380 is my official final target that I'd be looking for. If we do get some pumps, because you can't rule it out, you always want to check both sides, what you'd be looking for. Like I said, that 1230 level, if it gets reclaimed, could be looking for higher. So if you do get higher, you have a potential harmonic, bearish harmonic, that would form up here about 848. And what I would like to do on this is draw from high to low here, find your 786 and your 886 levels, mark these off, look for a reversal in this zone if we get a big pump, and short the fuck out of it from here. So ideally, if we get a pump up to here, this is what I'm going to be taking as a short. This would be a pretty crazy pump, yes, but is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Anything can happen in crypto, right? We're just here to predict both sides of it, look what's going to happen. If it goes one direction, react accordingly. If it goes the other direction, react accordingly. Got to be like water in the market. You got to be able to move with it. You can't just stay bearish like I am if stuff does start to turn bullish, because then you can really eat yourself by not riding the wave in the trend with some of these plays. Macro trend down, micro trend could still go up. Yeah, I'll go over some fib circles. I do them probably a little bit different than some people, but they work for me. Here, I can try to do one on Ethereum here. So I like to draw them along trend lines. So if you see the dash line in the middle here, I would drag it along this trend line right here. And then I would pin this area that I'm holding to the low. So I would drag it along this, and I would pin it down to the low where this area would line up with this over here. So let me get this perfect. And that's kind of how I would draw it. And then sometimes I like to line up the harmonics with it too, to kind of see exactly what date it would hit that harmonic ratio if it hit it. So I would have the fib circle and the harmonic. So I would drag it along this, whichever would make sense on the fib circle, and see kind of what date it would hit if it hit. So this date would be a potential date to look for. February 28th. You could even have them go out to this area too. But as you can see, I mean, it obeys it pretty closely, man. I mean, just following that trend line. And then if you look at it, you can see how it's just obeyed this level. So for now, it looks like you found support here. So you could be looking for a move up to this fib circle, which is the bottom of this range over here. It's about 1280. But yeah, that's just how I draw them. I draw them along trend lines. I can show you a couple other ones that I've been eyeing too that I can draw it on. I have one on Ape. I'll actually pull up Ape and show you. Same thing with Ape. So I started at the high over here. I dragged it across this trend line that we have, and then I pinned it to the low over here at the 8. And it's been working pretty well. You can see how you found support pretty much right at the bottom of this. You had all the support kind of curved up into it, came back down. It was really helpful in the 4-hour with this when I had this drawn, because once I saw that we came up, we rejected here, and then we broke below this fib circle, I was like, okay, just short this thing. We came up, we retested it, and we nuked down to right around this fib circle. And then you can also see how we kind of rode up along it here. So I have had this drawn for a while, and you can see how we were just holding support there, but once we lost that, we lost it here too, but we reclaimed. Once we lost this, we just nuked. And there's probably better ways to draw it. That's just how I draw it, because I've just been trial and error what works for me. Atom. So I'm gonna go over Atom just because this is a play that I'm really focused on and I want to work out. So same thing, I had a fib circle on this, along the trend line here, all the way down to the low point. Is it on the low point? Oh, yeah, it is on the low point, sorry. And then I have a couple areas where I think Atom could potentially bottom out at my Gartley level, which would be your 786, or it can extend down to the 886 as it likes to in crypto. And if it extends down to the 886, I would try to line it up with the fib circle to find the exact dates it would hit. So I'm either looking at around January 5th or December 27th for this area to go long. But anything in this red box, I'm going to start building longs on Atom with the target, hopefully, up to this 886 around 15, so about 100% move. But if not, I'll still be targeting your 382. Say it goes to there. We'll see where it bottoms at. I'd be targeting. Of course, I'd take a little bit off here probably just to have a risk-free trade. And then you'd be targeting your 382, your 0.5, 0.618, all the way up to this potential shark pattern that I have on Atom, up to this 886 area. But I'm looking for around 808. I'm going to front run a little bit, start my bids, all the way down to about $7 on Atom, and build a spot bag, and then also a 2x long to look for a good move up. Even if you got in here, say you took it halfway, say you took it up to this B point, the candlesticks over here, pretty good resistance, right? Still a 40% move, so that's a great move. All right, let me grab some water. Atom versus Bitcoin. So we still have this just like massive bat I've been looking at versus Bitcoin, and so far we've just been nuking. I just don't see any patterns on this really right now. Scott Carney software doesn't see any patterns on it at the moment. We might have one here. See if this is your 786. It's close. Should be looking for like a bounce right around here, which makes sense. I mean, if you look back historically at this level, it's a pretty significant level right around here. So you'd be looking for a bounce there. That might be where my trade comes into play. So yeah, if we can get a 1618 extension from this area to there, I'd be taking this play for sure with Atom versus Bitcoin. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this and see if we can come down here, and hopefully this completes or comes close to completing at the same time that my Atom play looks like it wants to complete, because then we might get a runner. Let's see here. I was looking at CHZ because I feel like this coin's kind of dead, but I mean, I had posted this. We just have this massive cipher that's in play right now, or a shark, sorry, because it came down to the 886 and it touched it perfectly. I posted this on Twitter right when it touched. You have your reversal zone in here that you'd be looking for, and your 886 like hit to a T. You have a perfect 618 almost. You have a 1.13 almost. That's almost perfect. And then you come down. When you zoom in on your 886, so you have your perfect 886 here. When you zoom in, dude, this thing was fucking killer. I had this trade posted inside our Discord for a while. In your entry, I was telling everybody to place bids. You would have placed it right at the D at 0.1046, and you would have got filled. Perfect entry. So far, if you took the play, and this was posted in the Discord section, you'd be up 7% and counting right now. And this thing can go much higher, man. This thing can go much higher from here. So, and look at this. It's just got absolutely fucked. It could do a 50% retrace from here. This Gartley over here just murdered it. I literally had this Gartley drawn, and then not even as I took the short, fucking GCR tweeted, and I'm like, okay, perfect. But you have a 618, 618, 786. And I mean, if you extend this all the way up, you could have a perfect 618, 618, 1618, pretty much right at the top. So this was a beautiful play. You would have entered at your 786 here. So you would have had an entry right here, which is where I first entered, 0.2648. And then you would have had your stop loss above your X, and you would have been targeting at least down to your C leg here, which was perfect. And it just kept going, man. I'm curious if it hit where the 1618 of this would be. So your 1618 would be way down here. But it looks like you're on your 1272 of this extension, and you're finding some support there right now, which is also the 886 of this move. So that's good, man. It's looking good though. This was a killer entry. It looks like we're starting to get a little bottoming out here. Reversal. You'll find a lot of support at these 886 levels. Any requests? Let me check and see if anybody's giving me some requests, and then I might hop off for a little bit here. But feel free to jump in my Discord. I'll post it on Twitter again if you want to. And stop in. We have a free section. And I also have another section where we do trade setups and educational stuff. And I have a bunch of cheat sheets and everything posted like that as well. It's like $30 a month, $75 for 3 months, or $120 for 6 months. So it's very affordable. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter or ping me in the Discord. Thanks, everybody.